Good morning, one and all. Myself, Dr. Aisha Sheikh, Assistant Professor of Commerce from Kakatiya Government Degree College, Hanamkonda. Now, today I would like to explain about the Income Tax Act Section 1962 to 2020. Section Income Tax Act 1961 2020. An act to consider it and amend the law relating into the income tax and super tax, be it enacted by Parliament in the 12th year of the Republic of India as follows. As amended by the Finance Act 2020 and the Taxation and Other Laws, relaxation of certain provisions, Ordinance 2020, an act considered and amend the law relating to Income Tax Act and Super Tax. The short title and extent and commencements. Those are first one is this act may be called the Income Tax Act 1961. It extended to the whole of India, save as otherwise provided in this act. It shall come into force on the first day of April 1962. In this act, unless the context of these requires advance tax means the advance tax payable in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 17th C. Agriculture income means because we have in our Income Tax Act 5 categories of income: income from salary and house rental income, business income, and professional income, income from capital gains, and other income like that. Just like that, agriculture income also one of the income of a assessee. Any at all revenue derived from land which is situated in India and it is used for agriculture purposes, then the income comes under the category of agriculture income. Any income derived from such land by agriculture or the performance by a cultivator or receiver of rent in kind of any process ordinarily employed by a cultivator or receiver of rent in kind to render the produce raised or received by him fit to be taken to market. The sale by cultivator or receiver of rent in kind of the produce raised or received by him in respect of which no process has been performed other than a process of the nature described in paragraph of the subclasses. Any income derived from any building owned and occupied by the receiver of the rent or revenue of any such land are occupied by the cultivator or the receiver of rent in kind of any land with respect to which or the producer of which any process mentioned paragraphs second and third of subclasses and section B is carried on. In this act, unless the context otherwise requires advance tax. Advance tax means the advance tax payable in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 17C. Agriculture income means anyway the revenue divided from land which is situated in India and it is used for the agriculture purpose. Any income received from such land by agriculture or the performance by the cultivator or receiver of rent in kind of any process ordinarily employed by a cultivator, receiver or rent in kind of the received by him fit to be taken to market. The sale by a cultivator or receiver of rent in kind of the produce raised or received by him in respect of which no process has been performed other than a process of the nature described in paragraph of this subclause. Any income derived from any building owned and occupied by the receiver of the rent or revenue of any such land or occupied by the cultivator, the receiver of rent in kind of any land with respect to which the producer of which any process mentioned in paragraphs and subclauses. Next, provide that the building is on in the immediate vicinity of the land and is building which the receiver of the rent or revenue or the cultivator, the receiver of rent in kind by person of his connection with the land requires as a dwelling house or as a storehouse other outbuilding, and the land is either assessed to land revenue in India or is subject to a local rate assessed and collected officers of the government as such, or where the land is not so assessed to land revenue or subject to a local rate, it is not situated in any area which is comprised within the jurisdiction of a municipality or a cantonment board and which has a population of not less than 10,000 in any area within the distance measured really not begin more than 2 kilometers from the local limits of any municipality or cantonment board referred to in item, and which has a population of more than 10,000 but not exceeding 1 lakh, not being more than 6 kilometers from the local limits of any municipality or cantonment board referred to in item A, and which has a population of more than 1 lakh but not exceeding 10 lakhs, not being more than 8 kilometers from the local limits of any municipality or cantonment board referred to in times, and which has a population of more than 10 lakhs. Amalgamation. Amalgamation in relation to companies means the merger of one or more companies with another company, the merger of two or more companies to form one company, the company or companies which so merge being referred to as the amalgamating company or companies, and the company with which they merge or which is formed as a result of the merger as the amalgamated company in such a manner that all the property of the amalgamating company or companies immediately before the amalgamation becomes the property of the amalgamated company by virtue of the amalgamation. All the liabilities of the amalgamating company immediately before the amalgamation become the liabilities of the amalgamated company by virtue of the amalgamation. Shareholders holding not less than 3/4 in value of the shares in the amalgamating company or companies becomes shareholders of the amalgamated company by virtue of the amalgamation, otherwise than as a result of the acquisition of the property of one company by another company pursuant to the purchase of such property by the other company, or as a result of the distribution of such property to the other company after the winding up of the first mentioned company. Additional Commissioner means a person appointed to be an additional commissioner of income tax under subsection 1 of section 117 subsection 1d. Additional Director means person appointed to be an additional director of income tax under section 1 of section 117. Annual value in relation to any property means its annual value as determined under section 23. Appellate Tribunal means the appellate tribunal constituted under section 252. Approved gratuity fund means a gratuity fund which has been and continues to be approved by the principal, chief commissioner or principal commissioner or commissioner in accordance with the rules contained in Part C of the 4th schedule. Approved superannuation fund means a superannuation fund or any part of a superannuation fund which has been and continues to be approved by the principal chief commissioner or chief commissioner of principal commissioner or commissioner in accordance with the rules contained in Part B of the 4th schedule. Assessee means a person by whom any tax or any other sum of money is payable under this act and includes every person in respect of whom any proceeding under this act has been taken for the assessment of his income or assessment of fringe benefits or the income of any other person in respect of which he is assessable or of the loss sustained by him and by such other person of the amount of refund due to him or to such of other persons. Every person who is deemed to be an assessee under any provision of this act, every person who is deemed to be an assessee in default under any provision of this act. Assessing officer. Assessing officer means the assessment commissioner or deputy commissioner or assessment director or deputy director, the income tax officer who is visited with the relevant jurisdiction by virtue of directions or orders issued under subsection or subsection 120 subsection 1 and 2. Any other provisions of this act and the additional commissioner and additional director and assessing officer under this act. Assessment includes reassessment. Assessment year means the period of 12 months coming on the first day of April every year. Assistant Commissioner means a person appointed to be an Assistant Commissioner of Income Tax or a Deputy Commissioner of Income Tax under subsection 1 main section 117. Assistant Director means a person appointed to be an Assistant Director of Income Tax under subsection 1 of 117. Average rate of income tax means that the rate arrived at by dividing the amount of income tax calculated on the total income by such total income. Block of assets means a group of assets failing with in a class of assessment comprising tangible assets being buildings, machinery, plant or furniture. Thank you, one and all.